Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Face to Face on Press TV. Today our guest is the Yemeni Prime Minister, Dr. Abdul'Aziz bin Saleh bin Habtور. Welcome, Doctor, and thank you for your time. Your decision of preventing the ships or vessels heading to the occupied ports in Palestine is very bold decision. How did you make this decision, especially that you know that the Bab al-Mandab Strait is very vital for the international trade?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شكرا جزيلا لكم. بطبيعة الحال
Of course, what is happening in the world in general and what is happening in Palestine in particular pushes any person who has a little dignity and humanity. This decision was based on humanitarian, religious, and moral aspects to support our people in Palestine. It is no longer important to confront the largest country or the smallest country while you witness daily queues of martyrs, wounded, and debris piling up over the heads of our people in Gaza and the rest of the Palestinian territories. This is a religious duty before which all considerations, whether geopolitical, strategic, or alliances of any kind, are insignificant. We know that America is rampaging throughout the world, and if we see things this way, we will not move and will remain in our homes. Therefore, we have a vision that stems from the vision of the axis of resistance, and this is what prompted us to respond.
لذلك انطلقنا من هذه الرؤية وبدأنا بالرد.
How do you evaluate the effect of your decision to prevent the ships heading toward the occupied ports in Palestine on the economy of the Israeli regime? Is it effective to push this regime to stop the genocidal war against the people in Gaza?
طبعا البيانات التي تأتي من
The data that comes from the Zionist enemy says that there is more than 90% of the capacity in the port of Eilat idle, and this is a great gain for our people in Palestine and for us as well. When a port malfunctions in this way at the peak of confrontation, this is a great achievement.
فهذا في حد ذاته إنجاز وانتصار كبير.
The US and the UK launched a war against Yemen, saying that Yemenis are affecting or hampering the international trade in the Red Sea. They have waged multiple strikes for several days. Are you ready as Yemenis to fight these two countries, especially that you know they have a lot of weapons and a huge military?
الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وبريطانيا
The United States of America and Britain are aggressive countries against all of humanity, not against Yemen alone or any country seeking liberation from Western colonialism. Therefore, these two countries have their own old and new colonial projects. Britain and America are the ones who established the Israeli state in 1949, and therefore they seek to protect this entity by all means and capabilities. Whoever stands against this entity, whether groups, people, or countries, Washington and London will seek to destroy them. Going back to history, we remember when in the 1950s, Britain, France, and Israel attacked the Arab state of Egypt, which was then called the United Arab Republic. This was an attempt to control the Suez Canal. Had it not been for the circumstances at the time and the assistance of the Soviet Union, which was at the height of its power, the Arabs would not have been able to deter this tripartite aggression. And before that, in 1947, who sponsored the presence of the Haganah gangs that began the occupation of Palestine? Certainly the colonial countries, and these are the result of Sykes-Picot, the Balfour Declaration, and World War II. All the countries that considered themselves victorious in World War II established this entity. We followed the history of the United States of America, which entered the Vietnam War and was defeated. It entered a war in Korea and was defeated. It entered Iraq and Afghanistan and was also defeated. Imposed a siege on Iran since the establishment of the Islamic Republic in 1979 and failed. We are betting on our people, on history, and on the future that the United States will fail in every battle it enters.
Mr. Prime Minister, do you believe that America and Britain would maybe take a reckless step and attempt to invade the west coast of Yemen militarily?
نحن نتوقع كل الاحتمالات.
We anticipate all possibilities and have all calculations for this day, but how many countries have tried throughout history to occupy the western coast of Yemen and failed, including Britain? Britain tried after it occupied Aden and then occupied parts of Hodeidah, then failed and emerged defeated. The Turks, although we are of the same religion, also failed to occupy the Yemenis, saying these countries are major countries capable of occupying our country, and if the people thought in this way, no country in the entire world would be liberated. Countries are liberated by the strength of the will of their people, their organizations, and the strength of their ideas carried by the leadership of these people. There is an experience in Egypt when it expelled Britain, in Algeria when it expelled France, in Libya when it expelled Italy, and also when Britain was expelled from South Yemen in 1967. So it is the idea of an eternal struggle with these colonial powers that want to dominate the entire world, its resources and its straits. This has been part of a global concern for thousands of years. Alexander the Great reached the shores of Aden and Socotra Island with his forces, but was defeated. He tried to occupy the capital of the historic state of Shaba and failed. History gives us lessons, and we should study it very carefully and then proceed to develop our capabilities. In 2015, our capabilities were zero, a disunited army with multiple loyalties, and here was the role of Abdul-Malik al-Houthi in leadership, rearranging the situation and liberating what could be liberated from Yemeni lands in the north and south, especially after the American, British, and French embassies extended their influence over parts of our country. However, we entered into this great battle against 17 countries, and we only had with us the axis of resistance and the only existing state, the Islamic Republic of Iran.
وإلى حد ما كانت الجمهورية العربية السورية تدعمنا سياسيا ومعنويا.
How do you read the repercussions of the recent US move by redesignating the Ansarullah movement as a terrorist group? Is there a tangible effect on the Yemeni sovereignty, on the Yemeni decision, especially in supporting the Palestinian people?
الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية كل من يعادي الكيان الصهيوني تعتبره إرهابي.
Anyone hostile to the Zionist entity will be considered a terrorist by the US. Iran, the leaders of the Palestinian resistance, the Libyan regime, Syria, and Lebanon were considered terrorists. These are like certificates that America distributes to whomever it wants, but they have no effect. It indeed controls the global official system and international organizations, but we are in a strategic dispute with America, the content of which is that the Israeli entity is a temporary entity. We will not meet with America until it withdraws its bases and mercenaries that it collected from all corners of the earth. Now it is normal for them to pin charges on us through their media, international organizations, and Arab regimes that have normalized ties with the entity. The American decision will not affect us, as our relationship is with free peoples and countries that have their own decisions and are not subject to American hegemony, and it is a sublime relationship. Our relations with the Islamic Republic of Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and Palestine. Everything that may be said by the enemies will not affect us. And just as we have endured for 8 years, we will endure for many more years in the face of these colonial countries.
سنصمد أيضا 8 سنوات أخرى في مواجهة هذه الدول الاستعمارية.
Mr. Prime Minister, US and the UK, they keep promoting that the operations of the Yemeni army in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden are completely not related to what is happening to the people of Gaza. How do you respond to that?
هذه ترهات. نحن لم قاتلنا 17 دولة.
We fought 17 countries and did not fire a single bullet, neither in Bab el-Mandab, nor in the Red Sea, nor the Arabian Sea. But how long can you ignore the daily crimes in Palestine with folded hands? To date, the number of victims has exceeded 28,000 martyrs, not to mention the wounded and the missing. Aren't these human beings so that America and its allies do not consider them humans? These are our Palestinian brothers. We went out to fight with them, and we did not go out until a month after the start of the war on Gaza. We were waiting for the Arab regimes and armies that possess billions of dollars in weapons and the latest technologies to move, but they did not. When we felt that Arabs and Muslims had abandoned their responsibility to protect our people in Gaza, we intervened. We intervened to support the truth and the Palestinian mujahid and the Palestinian civilian who is being deported from one area to another, whether in Gaza or the West Bank. We did our duty when others did not. Our enemies try to distort our position, but the world knows our position. The aggression and blockade in Gaza must stop, and our operation at sea will stop. As for media lies, they will not work as they were in the past. Today, the world knows what is happening. We see free people demonstrate in America, Britain, Germany, France, and the rest of the Western countries. All of these people come out to support the Palestinian cause. Some of them saw a Palestinian mother struggling and sacrificing her life for her child. We no longer talk about the genocidal war in Gaza only in our media, but rather it is the popular media and social media that expose the lies of Westerners. The Western regime fell after the Al-Aqsa flood began. All their slogans such as morality, human freedom, international humanitarian law, justice and equality have fallen. They were unable to cover up the heinous crimes in Gaza and the West Bank.
وهم يتحدثون حول حقوق الإنسان ويتحدثون حول حقوق الطفل.
Will your open war with America and Britain affect the progress of reaching a peaceful solution for the country and to maintain the peace in the country and to rebuild the country?
نحن نتوقع لا لأنه السلام هي حاجة.
We do not expect there to be an impact because the peace process is mainly linked to Yemen and Saudi Arabia. They in Saudi Arabia have their projects and we seek to rebuild our country and repair the wounds they caused. They killed tens of thousands of us. Saudi Arabia needs peace more than us.
حاجة السعودية للسلام أكثر مننا.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdulaziz bin Habtoor, for your time, the Yemeni Prime Minister. Thank you so much for your time. It was our pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time, inshallah.